beautiful books this week. Hallmark movie goodness. Yeah, this is gonna be a crazy day. Hi guys, Hannah here. Welcome to my video and to my channel. I know for a fact I'm not the only person who does this, but I'll be having a great day. I'll be doing a million things in the morning, and then I'll go to have a little break. I'll sit down, I'll look on my phone, and I will doom scroll on Instagram for hours. I will spend so much time like comparing myself to other people and just like watching these idealized versions of people's lives and just getting stuck. And then I end up feeling terrible about myself, and then I end up doing nothing for the rest of the day, and it just totally ruins my mood, ruins my productivity. It's not helpful. So today we're breaking the cycle. Today I'm going to be replacing my social media screen time for reading. So what I'm gonna do each day, I'm gonna get up the screen time on my phone and I'm gonna check how many hours I've spent on social media, and that's how long I'm gonna read for that day. This is gonna be a really difficult challenge for me because I've been really out of my reading game recently. I'm so far behind on my Goodreads goal, so I'm really hoping that this helps me get closer to my Goodreads goal for this year. So I'm already out of the habit of reading and I'm doing so much social media scrolling. So I've just looked up how much screen time I had this time last week. It's Monday right now. Monday last week I spent, it's so bad, this was on my birthday and I still managed to spend 5 hours and 49 minutes on social media. That's so bad. Now, I do seem to remember that I was actually sick. So mum and I went out and did some fun things in the morning, and then we came home and crashed, and I must have just like doom scrolled for most of the day because I was feeling sick and sorry for myself. That's really bad. I cannot believe that it got to that point. That's harrowing. So I'm actually in the middle of reading 2 books right now. The first is the Vanishing Cherry Blossom Bookshop. It was originally written in Japanese and has been translated to English. So the concept of this book is that there's a Vanishing Cherry Blossom Bookshop, and there are, I think there's 4 individual stories that are like people who travel to this bookshop and like explore books and stories that are significant to them. And so you kind of get these little like vignettes of people's lives. It's a pretty short book too. I think it's only like 207 pages, so it's really short. It's just like these little snippets of people's lives, and I think the first story just didn't resonate with me very much, so I was really struggling with it. The second story was beautiful, and so now I've just started the third story. I'm about halfway through. So yeah, I am certain that I will be able to finish this today. The next book that I'm reading is Fearful, which is the like final novella in the Powerless series. I'm only a little bit of the way through, but the concept of this is really fascinating. I won't give you any spoilers in case you haven't read the series, but it's really interesting to me so far. It's told from Kit's perspective, and yeah, you just see behind the scenes of a lot of things that were like big plot points through the series and like big plot twists you kind of like see some background of, which is really fascinating. And I've only read a little bit of it so far, so I am intrigued because Kit as a character is very interesting to me. So this should be a pretty quick read as well. It's 277 pages, so I feel like I should maybe I'll finish this as well today if I'm reading for like almost 6 hours. This is going to be a big test. I think today and tomorrow are going to be pretty high intensity reading days, and then I think it'll calm down a little bit in the days following. Have I signed myself up for too much here? Maybe. Oh, tell me why I'm so nervous to do this. Why am I so nervous? It's fine, Hannah, it's reading. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna set a timer for 5 hours and 49 minutes, and I'm gonna run the timer while I'm reading, and then anytime I'm not reading, I'm just gonna pause it. And hey, okay, so if I read for like 2 hours before I go to sleep, then I only need to read for like almost 4 hours during the day, which is pretty much all the time I have left until I have to do my next teaching student. Oh God. This book is getting me so hard in the feels. I just finished the 3rd story, so now I'm at the interlude before the 4th. Each story has been about family, and this story is about 2 twin sisters and their attachment to the story of Peter Pan, and it's making me miss my sister so much, and just being like so in sync with another person. It's something that's so special, whether it's a sister or a sibling, or if it's a friend, whoever it is, when you're just like so in sync with them and you just understand each other so well, that is so special. There's a lot of like people passing away in this book as well, so it's like kind of heavy, but not like, it's like heavy in a whimsical way. I don't know if that makes sense. It's not that like it makes light of these things happening, but it kind of like accepts that and takes it in as just like part of the reality of being a human, and like as part of life is that life comes to an end. And yeah, it's really beautiful. I feel like each person would have a different story that resonates with them more. Like for me, the second story resonated a lot for me, and the third story resonated a bit as well, maybe not quite as much. I was sobbing like a baby last night reading the second one because it just hit so hard. It was about an older gentleman, and I won't go into too much details, but you know, an older gentleman closer towards the end of his life and all that comes with aging. I do wonder if they've saved their best for last, and if the final story is going to be a really hard hitter. Ooh, wow. I actually have no idea why the end of that book hit me so hard. It's also just started storming, which is so cozy. Wow, okay, thoughts on this book. I enjoyed aspects of it, but I didn't love it, but it also just feels like a really important book. I don't know if that makes any sense, especially for artists, writers, creatives of any sort. It just feels like a really important book, or an important book for someone who has lost someone important to them. I feel like that's the only way I can describe it. It just feels like a really important book. Because it was originally written in Japanese, there were a few moments where the writing felt like you could tell it had been translated and that it wasn't originally written in English, and that's so fine. The translator did an amazing job, but yeah, there were a few moments that were maybe a little bit clunky, but I definitely don't think that took away from the book. I think once I kind of like got used to the writing style, it just like transported me further into that world. But it also wasn't the easiest read. There were some really compelling characters. I do think the first story, the first book, the first character that we look at is the weakest in my opinion, but also someone else might read this book and it might resonate really deeply with them, because as I think I mentioned before, everyone can kind of pull something different out of each of the stories, and I feel like different things will resonate with different people. So I'm really glad that I read this. I honestly picked it up because the cover was really pretty and it was small. I knew I wanted to read a few more books by the end of this year, so the thought of like reading a small book was really good to me, because I was like, oh amazing, I can like I'll read that pretty quickly and it won't be as much of a stress. So yeah, it was the cover and the length that sold it for me, but I'm really glad that I read that. I feel like it's one of those books that's gonna like, I'm gonna take a second to digest it, and it's gonna really, yeah, really bounce around in my brain and my heart for a while. I feel like that feels like a really sappy thing to say. Anyway, I have no idea what my star rating for this will be, because on one hand I want to give it a 4-star because it feels so important, but then on the other hand I kind of want to give it a 3-star because like it was fine. I didn't love it. I wasn't waiting to pick it back up, so I don't know, maybe like a 3.5. Oh, sorry, the rain is so cozy. Because in my rating system, I kind of have like 5 stars is amazing, thought about it all the time, think about it all the time after I finished the book, loved it so much. 4 stars is that was a really great book, few things that I might have wanted to change about it, or it just didn't like give me the 5-star feeling, but it was still a really great book. 3 stars is it was a good book. I wouldn't read it again, I wouldn't do a reread, but I had a good time. 2 stars is didn't love it, probably wouldn't recommend it, and then 1 stars is like this is horrible, I definitely don't recommend it for anyone, I DNF'd it, whatever it is. So yeah, I feel like a 3.5 to some people might feel like quite a low rating given what I've just said, but to me it really is just like halfway between a good book and a great book. So I've got to show you the storm. This is crazy. It is just getting crazier and crazier out there. It's so windy, it's so rainy, the lightning is coming in. Oh, we're also getting some hail. I didn't even realize, but there's also hail. Hang on. I think those are little bits of hail. Oh, yeah. Oh my God, that's hail. Wow, it has gotten so crazy so quickly. Dare I say it, this is ideal reading weather. Unfortunately, I do have a student later this afternoon, and I really hope that she travels okay with this weather. Although, knowing Brisbane, this could last an hour and then be done. It could last 10 minutes and be done, honestly. Why is this low-key terrifying? It got so dark so quickly. And the lightning? It's still 3 p.m. It should be fully bright outside. This is crazy. I'm also hearing a lot of noises on my roof. This is honestly crazier weather than we had when we had the cyclone warning at the start of this year. Anyway, back to reading, I guess. Now that I've taken about 20 minutes to just like watch the storm, I'm gonna keep reading. We're gonna pick up with Fearful. Right now I'm on page 28. So I barely started it. So far so good. Like I said earlier, I don't want to give you too many spoilers, so I'll try not to go into too much detail while still like giving you a vibe. But unfortunately I do still have 4 hours and 13 minutes left, which is a good chunk of time. Can I get this timer done by the end of today? Pray for me. Alright, I just finished up with a student, brand new student. She seems lovely, so that's exciting. So it's now 6:30 or 6:24, and I still have 3.5 hours left of reading. I'm not sure I'm gonna finish this today, so if I don't finish it today, I'm gonna do kind of like a banking system where anything I don't do today, I'll transfer over to tomorrow. Today and tomorrow are supposed to be like my craziest days, and then after that, it looks like it drops a little bit, which is good because I definitely can't keep up with like 6 hours of reading a day. That's just, it's too much for me right now. Okay, so the aim of this video was to get me to stop doom scrolling and to start reading more. Unfortunately, I am reading more and still doom scrolling. It's now 9:08 and I've still got 3.5 hours on my timer. So I'm just gonna knuckle down and see how much of this I can get through before I fall asleep. I think I'll get 2 hours in, so I'll get it down to 1.5 hours, which I will then transfer over to tomorrow. We're just gonna have to count today as a bit of a fail because God knows I do not have the energy to read for another 3.5 hours tonight. Anyway, I'll let you know how far I get and I'll see you in the morning. Good morning, it's Tuesday. I just finished up a student, so it's now 11:30 and I've still got 1 hour and 45 minutes left on my timer from yesterday. I don't know how accurate that is because I did fall asleep while reading, so I don't know how long I was asleep for, but I'm now about halfway through Fearful. I'm on page 156, chapter 15, and so far so good. It's been really interesting to read from different characters' perspectives, like the same events that we read in Fearless, but just, yeah, from a different perspective. It's been really, really interesting. So what I'm gonna do so what we're gonna do is we're gonna bank the hour and 45 minutes that I didn't read yesterday and check how much I'm supposed to be reading today, and maybe add that time onto today. Yeah, this is gonna be a crazy day. So on Tuesday last week, my total screen time was 10 hours and 5 minutes, which is crazy. My time on socials was 6 hours and 9 minutes, which if I then add the hour 45 onto that, that is 7 hours 55 minutes, give or take. I don't know if that's achievable, but I'm gonna give it a red hot crack. What have I signed myself up for? This is like hard mode. Oh, you may have noticed, I'm wearing my Christmas top. We're embracing Christmas. It's also 31 degrees today and it's supposed to be like getting up to 35 over the next week. Like it's gonna be in the 30s for the next week, which is disgusting. So maybe spending more time indoors reading will actually be a great thing this week because God knows I'm spending as little time outdoors as possible. I'm nervous. Okay, let's get crack-a-lackin', shall we? I just finished Fearful This was really interesting. I'll try to be as spoiler free as possible, but because this is like a novella set during the events of Fearless, there's not a lot I can say without spoiling things, so I'm gonna try to be really generic about this. Really fascinating. It was told from the perspective of Kit and Mara, who is like an embodiment of death. It followed Kit's relationship and dynamic with death, as well as also giving us a bit of an insight on Blair and Lenny, which I actually loved. The insight on Blair and Lenny, that was, yeah, I found that really fascinating, especially Blair, because I feel like we're shown a certain persona in the other books from Peyton's perspective, so it was really cool to kind of like see another perspective on that character and the situation. One thing I will say is that I'm really glad I read this not long after I finished reading Fearless. I maybe finished reading Fearless like a month or two ago, I really don't know, but it wasn't that long ago, and I feel like if I had read all these books exactly like when they came out, I feel like I would be a little disappointed reading this, because it really doesn't stand on its own 2 feet. It was interesting because of the way you compare it to the perspectives in Fearless. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, but I'm glad that I read it kind of like close to reading Fearless. I will say, Lauren Roberts has set up to expand the Fearless universe. If you didn't know, I can tell there's definitely going to be another book after this. Or if there isn't, then she's just like teasing us and giving us a potential way that we think the world might expand. Which, I mean, does sound interesting. This like next progression that she set up does sound really interesting, and I would be keen to read. I think I'm going to give it a 3 stars. I was a little let down by the ending. And like it makes sense and I get it and it's interesting, and I think it is part of the way it's been set up for more books, but yeah, I was a little disappointed by the ending, but I did find it really interesting. I feel like novellas, it's hard to get a high star rating, so yeah, I feel like it's going to be a solid 3 stars, which I think is also what I rated the other novella in the Powerless series. But I am definitely feeling, after the past 2 books that I've read, where I read this like fantasy book where death is one of the main characters, and Vanishing Cherry Blossom Bookshop, which I finished just before, also had a lot of themes around like death. I feel like I just need a happy, like feel good, silly little romance book next. So let's put this book on my bookshelf and let's choose the next book. I've got my Powerless special editions displayed here. I actually love these special editions. I've popped the dust jackets in like a little storage box, but I just think the foiled covers are really pretty. So Fearful is gonna go right there on display. Oh, how beautiful. Okay, so now we choose our next book. Here are my contenders right now. I have got these 2 Christmas romance books that I would love to read, especially like I feel like they're gonna be that fun, feel-good vibe that I'm wanting, but also it's Christmas! And I've barely read any Christmas books so far this year. I read Love Light Farms a few weeks ago. Love Light Farm, not Farms, a few weeks ago, which I really enjoyed. The first one I've got is Holiday Ever After by Hannah Grace, which I think is just like a classic small town, like there's a city person and a small town person, enemies to lovers kind of vibe. It looks really cute. I'm loving this like design on the front. It's so cute, and then it's got this art on the oh, what are these called, like the end pages, which it looks so cute and cozy. This is also the like signed edition. I get really confused when people call it a signed edition when like it's very obvious that Hannah Grace didn't sign this herself. Like it's got a signature, but it's still like printed on there. I get really confused when people say that it's signed but it's not been signed in person. That just doesn't make sense to me. Like that doesn't feel like something special that they should be like, I don't know, advertising on. Anyway, the next one is Good Spirits by BK Borison. I love the sprayed edges, it's so cute. I read First Time Caller by BK Borison earlier this year and I absolutely loved it. So I'm really excited about the concept of this. This is also a paranormal romance, I think. I think the dude is like a ghost which maybe I should be avoiding this so that I can break the the like pattern of death that I've been reading about. I feel like there's potential for this to be like a happy, fun romance until the death aspect comes into it. Like, is it gonna be sad? Are they gonna have to like not be together because he's a ghost? I'm really curious about it, and I'll definitely read it, and I think I'll really enjoy it. I just am thinking maybe it's not the go right now. The other book that I'm thinking about, I really want to do a reread of Archer's Voice. I got this, again, special edition. I'm loving some special editions. It's got these annotations by Mia Sheridan on the side there. I read Archer's Voice last year, and I absolutely loved it. I think it was a 5-star read for me. And so I really want to do a reread, especially because I now have the version with the annotations on the side. So I think that would just like make a reread experience really, really fun. So I'm also considering doing a reread of Archer's Voice. Look, honestly, with the amount of time I've got banked up, I think I've still got like 6 hours left now that I've finished Fearful. I will definitely be finishing like at least 2 more books by the end of this week, so I could read both of them. Ooh, you know what would be really fun? Maybe I could do like a poll on Instagram. I'm gonna do a poll on Instagram, that's fun. Okay, the poll has now been up for half an hour, which really isn't that long, but I feel like I don't have any time to waste. I'm like, I need to get reading so that I can get through the time on my timer. We're gonna go for Holiday Ever After. This is what the bear hardback looks like. How beautiful! I am thinking that when the weather cools down a little bit, I might see if there's an audiobook for this and then go for a little walk, put the audiobook on while I do that, because I think that's also gonna make this a much more achievable amount of reading. Oh my god, there are so many pages at the start of this book. Why are there so many pages? Hang on. I was just trying to do like a really aesthetic shot of like the first few pages of the book, like opening up the book. But why are there so many pages at the start of this book? Okay, so we've got... I don't know if this is normal and that I just usually don't notice it, but we've got the end page, sure. We've got the like title page with the signature. We've got another title page. We've got other books by Hannah Grace. We've got another title page. We've got the like copyright and the dedication. And then we've got another title page. And then we finally start the book. Why are there so many pages at the start of this book? Like, did we really need 4 title pages? Was that necessary?
Something like that. I'm on my way to Maine, technically. What's in Maine?
I just got back, I went on a nice long walk, picked up a few groceries, listened to the audiobook. I'm now on chapter 13 and I've got about 4 hours left on the timer there. I really think that listening to audiobooks, I should have listened to some audiobooks yesterday, I think. I never really listen to audiobooks, but I feel like it's what's gonna get me through this week. Because honestly, I think one of the main reasons that I've been struggling with reading recently is that I sit down and I just get really restless. So being able to listen to an audiobook and like do things like go on a walk, or pick up some groceries, or even like clean my apartment, whatever it is. It's a really good way for me to still be reading, but yeah, keep up with my restless nature. I've listened to a few audiobooks in the past, like autobiographies and things like that. I really like when authors that have written books about themselves speak those books in the audiobooks. I just feel like it adds an extra level of like authenticity, storytelling, whatever. That's how I read Britney Spears' book, and then also Jeanette McCurdy's book, and a bit of Spare by, is it Harry? Is it Harry that wrote that one? Yes. I didn't get very far through Spare because it was just so long. I feel like having that personal touch is really, really nice with those kind of books. But with, particularly with romance audiobooks, I struggle with it a little bit because it feels like sometimes it just feels like I'm intruding on a situation that I shouldn't be intruding in, you know, especially when it gets kind of like spicy, like it feels inappropriate for me to be listening to that happening. It just gets a little uncomfy, but so far I'm loving this audiobook. Maybe I'm like my tastes have changed, or like, it's like when you don't like coffee and then one day you like coffee. That day hasn't happened for me yet. I'm still not a coffee drinker, but I've heard that that happens to other people where suddenly their taste buds change. Or like wine, one day they don't like wine and the next day like wine. Maybe I'm having that experience with audiobooks, and like, because I am really enjoying the audiobook so far, specifically the first few chapters with Clara and Jack. Their chemistry, so good. I was like on my walk blushing, the like teasing, the tension. I was really enjoying it. So yeah, let's see how it goes with the rest of the book. I think I'm gonna try to keep listening to the audiobook while I like get dinner ready and all of that, and then when I'm going to sleep tonight, I'll maybe pick back up the physical book. One thing that I didn't think I was going to chat this much right now, but I do have something else to say. One thing I've noticed is that I've read a few Christmas books now. I think I've finished 2 Christmas books, so I'm now like partway through my 3rd reading this one. And I think I've realized with these books that they don't usually invoke a big Christmassy feeling in me. Like, they're set in Christmas, but I never get that like super nostalgic Christmassy feel the way that I would watching like a Christmas movie or listening to Christmas music. For some reason, I don't know, maybe it's because it's like 100% reliant on my imagination and I just can't like conjure that myself. But it just, yeah, I'm not getting that extra Christmassy feeling from it, and I've not gotten extra Christmassy feelings from books before. So I don't know, I think that was just something that I was kind of expecting to feel a little bit more when something is specifically written and advertised as a Christmas book. So yeah, we'll see if those feelings change. I mean, whether or not it's Christmassy, I'm still absolutely loving it. So, and it is Christmassy because it's set at Christmas and it's about like a toy maker. Let me know if you have those same feelings. I'm very curious if anyone else has the same experience or if it's just me and my, because this is, okay, I need to stop rambling. You know, sometimes I set up the camera and I'm like, I've got nothing to say. And then this happens and I just keep going. I had a conversation with a friend the other day, and I say the other day, this was months ago. We were talking about how like some people will like not have an inner monologue, and like how that translates to reading. Like some people will picture exactly what they're reading, and me, when I read, I don't have like a movie running in my head, but apparently that's really common, that people will have like a movie running in their head. That doesn't happen for me. It definitely happens more when I'm reading, like listening to an audiobook. But when I'm reading the words on the page, I don't have a movie. I'm literally just like taking in the words, and I don't know how else to describe it. Like, I'm still following the story, but there's no movie in my head. Like, I can, if I take the time to like slow down and really picture each thing, I can do it. Like, I can make myself picture this, but it takes a lot of mental energy and it doesn't happen automatically. So that's a really interesting thing to me. So yeah. Also, comment down below how you experience books, because that's just fascinating to me. And I wonder, like, if there's some sort of, like, what the reason is that people experience that differently. Anyway, that's my ramble. I'm gonna put on dinner, have a shower, all that good stuff, wind down for the night, keep listening to my audiobook, and see how far we can get it down. I don't think we're gonna clear the timer again, but maybe we will now that I'm audiobooking. I don't know, I'm definitely feeling more hopeful about the timing of all this with the audiobook. Worst case scenario, I might have to transfer an hour over tomorrow again, like we did today. But I've got a free day tomorrow, and I think my screen time is less tomorrow as well. So, knock on wood, I think we're gonna be fine. I did it! Wow, I genuinely didn't think I was gonna get through all of that today, but I did it! I am absolutely loving this book. I'm having such a good time. I'm literally just like here smiling, grinning, reading this book. It is just so cozy. I'm on page 245 now. I am definitely enjoying reading the book more than listening to the audiobook. And it's nothing against the audiobook. I'm just finding that I take everything in a little bit more when I'm reading it. And like, there's a lot of things that when I transitioned from the audiobook to the book, I had completely forgotten that they'd happened, or like, it hadn't registered with me, and then I start reading it and suddenly everything just feels like it's landing a little bit more with me. So I think that's more of a personal preference. That's just how my brain works, sort of thing. I will say the concept and kind of how it started reminds me a lot of Wildfire by Hannah Grace as well, which was a 5-star book for me. And this book kind of started in a similar kind of way, where they like started off strong and then their relationship kind of like took a step back, and then it started building from there in a more like sustainable way, which I love. I love that so much. I'm not much of a fan of lust before love, but it really works for me in this kind of situation where there's like a little bit of a like hint to start with, and then it kind of becomes like this awkward situation. I don't know, I just really like that dynamic for some reason. I'm also loving the small town vibes. I just feel like the town is so vivid, and like all these different characters are so clear, and like it just, yeah, the whole town just feels like, it feels like you're right there. Oh, and I forgot, there's another trope in this book that I love. The trope where there's like a storm, and it's like a hardcore storm. One of them like rushes over to the other person's house and is like, are you okay? Or like has to look after them in the storm or whatever. And something very similar to that happens in this book, which I love. Same thing happens in Archer's Voice, and there was one that I read recently that had that. It was, I think it was Great Big Beautiful Life had something like that. But yeah, I've read a bunch of books with that trope and I just love it. It's like forced proximity, but there's like an edge of danger to it, but like no one's actually in danger. Oh, I love it so much. Another thing with the audiobook, I definitely, because I listen in like 1.3 speed, I'm not one of those people who can listen with like super fast, like do it on 2 times speed. Like that just, it sounds ridiculous to me and I can't keep up, and I like to be able to enjoy the voice actors performing, you know? So listening to an audiobook is definitely much slower than just reading for me. So if I had been just reading all day, I definitely think I would have finished the book by now, but also I don't think I would have been able to read for as long as I had today if I hadn't listened to the audiobook. So I'm gonna go to sleep and I'll see you tomorrow. I woke up this morning and the first thing that I thought about was this book. I am so excited to jump back in, and I don't even know what it is. It's not like I'm like waiting for the next plot point. I just love spending time in this like town with these characters. It's just, oh, I cannot wait. So let's check how much reading we're going to be doing today. And today we only have to read 3 hours and 53 minutes, which is still a good chunk of time, but nowhere near as crazy as it has been. Let's start our timer and let's get reading. We did it! I finished reading Holiday Ever After. This is the quickest I've finished a book since like the start of this year. I feel like I haven't like had the chance to binge a book like this, or I haven't felt like I've had the chance to binge a book like this in so long. But I had a really great time. This book is just pure Hallmark movie goodness, and I loved it. The main thing that I think really made it work for me, because a lot of those Hallmark movies kind of feel a bit like, I don't know, a bit empty, a bit like unrealistic. But a detail that I loved in this that made it work a little bit more for me was that the main female character, she was like the big city girl, worked for a big company, had like an apartment and like whole life set up, their friends in New York, the way that stereotype always does in these movies. And then she went to this small town and fell in love with the small town. And usually in these Hallmark sort of movies, I always finish the movie thinking, okay, but you love your city life. Because, you know, these people are always super dedicated to their jobs, they like have all their friends, and I'm like, why would you want to leave that for this town that you like barely know? And like, they just always make the character really value the things in that city and then suddenly drop all of that for this small town and the male main character. But a detail that I loved in this book was that her city life genuinely sucked. Like it didn't sound that bad, but the way she described it, it just like was so clear that her leaving that life and like enjoying the small town was the right call for her. Her dad, oh my god. And I feel like that's not a spoiler, me saying that she like falls in love with this town and leaves her city life behind. Like I feel like that's not a spoiler. Sorry if you do consider it to be a spoiler, but I feel like it's pretty obvious with this kind of book. The character that I would have loved to see a little bit more of was Tommy. I really hope that we're gonna get another book in this small town, because I know like Hannah Grace does the, what is it, Maple Hill, whatever it is, the like interconnected standalone that's got Wildfire and Icebreaker and all those. So a part of me kind of hopes she does that with this town as well, that she does like a Fraser Falls interconnected holiday standalone series, because I need a book from Tommy's perspective. I just love him so much, and we barely got any of him. He's like, he loves a little bit of gossip, he loves his books, he just feels like a girl's girl, you know, and I need some more Tommy in my life. There was one scene that felt a little bit out of character for Clara. It was the snowman scene. I won't say anything past that, but it felt like they built up this particular character, and for one random scene she just became really like whingy and kind of annoying, which kind of threw me out of it a little bit. But I don't know, maybe other people would find that scene endearing. It just didn't sit right with me, and I felt like it was a little bit out of character with how we had experienced her previously. Like she would have handled that situation herself, right? She would have handled that. And I don't know why she wasn't able to handle it, but maybe I missed something because I read it really fast. I do also love now looking at the artwork and going, oh, I know exactly what scene that's from. The acts of service in this book. Oh God, my heart. I'm an acts of service girly. There's some beautiful acts of service in this book, and not even just in a romantic sense, but like in a platonic sense as well. And I loved how like defined all of the small town side characters were. Like, I think I said it last night. It just feels like this world is so vivid, and I loved it so much. It was so cozy. I think I'm gonna rate this 4 stars because it didn't give me 5-star feelings, and there were a few things that kind of like irked me a little bit, but I did wake up this morning wanting to pick it back up, and I had a really good time and I really enjoyed. So I think I'm gonna rate it 4 stars, maybe 4.25. It doesn't feel like it's quite a 4.5. Now that this is finished, I've got an hour and a half left today, which, how luxurious does it feel to not have like a crazy amount of reading to do? Like, I love reading, but the amount of reading I had to do the past 2 days was low-key ridiculous. So I'm gonna get on with my day a little bit and maybe read for an hour and a half before I go to sleep tonight. But I think I'm gonna pick up Archer's Voice because I was choosing between this one and that for this read. And I'm really excited to read Archer's Voice again. It's been just over a year, and I'm sure I showed you this before, but I've got the annotated version and I'm so excited. I'm also really curious if I will rate it as highly now that I've read more books, because I mean, I had read a few when I read this. I definitely wasn't like a beginner reader. I haven't been a beginner reader for a long time. Even when I wasn't reading published books, I was reading a lot of fan fiction. So I've always been like a reader. But I don't know, I feel like I've read a lot more published books, more like of these contemporary romance kind of books. So I am really curious if it will live up to my like expectations in my head, or if I'll love it more the second time. Well, yeah, I'm really curious how it'll land this time, because it could go either way. I am barely into this book now. I've just hit chapter 3, but there's this one passage that I came across that I just recognized instantly because it hit me really hard the first time I read it, and it was just like this like immediate like connection to an old version of myself through this passage. And I just think that is so cool that like even just for a moment these words on a page transported me to an old version of myself. The passage in question is the end of chapter 2 where Bree's got the dandelion. And she says, after a minute, I whispered peace before I blew and watched the fluff float out of sight, hoping that somehow one of those seeds carrying my whisper would reach that something or someone who had the power to make wishes come true. And I just I remember the exact moment that I read that the first time. I was sitting at the train station after work on my way home, and I started crying at the train station because it just hit so hard, because that was exactly what I would have wished for at that time as well. Isn't that magical that I'm not only like living in this imaginary world, but I'm also visiting a past version of myself? That's so cool. I've not done a reread of anything in a really long time, so thoroughly enjoying. Good morning, welcome to Thursday. I got up to chapter 11 in Archer's voice last night. So far so good, having a great time. Archer is so much more awkward than I remember him being. So it's time to check our screen time for today. It's reasonable today. We are doing 3 hours and 29 minutes. It's 10:15 right now, and it's already getting so hot. It's supposed to get to 37 degrees today, and that's Celsius. If you're a Fahrenheit girly, that is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's hot, it's hot. And I unfortunately do have plans, and I do need to leave the house. I'm getting a CT scan done on my jaw, because I'm getting my wisdom teeth taken out at the start of next year, and my surgeon wanted to get a scan to see where everything is. And then I've got a student this afternoon, and then I've got to pick up my work gear. I'm running a disco party tomorrow for a kindergarten. I love my job, I love my job, I love my job. I am very excited to leave this job. It just takes so much out of me, so I am low-key dreading that, but that's okay, because today is gonna be fine. I'm just picking up the gear. Anyway, so I'm gonna take my book with me and read a bit of my book in the waiting room while I wait for my scan today. Oh, but I wanna show you these pants that I got. I found these pants while I was out and about yesterday. They're from Kmart. They were $25 and they're so cute. They're cotton, they're super light, super breathable. I've been wanting to get some like lightweight pants for ages, because I have so many pairs of like jeans and like corduroy pants and like thick pants like that, but nothing that's really summer appropriate, especially Brisbane summer appropriate. So I'm so excited to have these. They're so lightweight and so comfortable, and I think the color is just really, really cute. And I also love that they've got the elastic waist and the drawstrings so that I can make them fit around both my hips and my waist, because that's like one of my #1 things with pants. If they fit me around the hips, they're usually too big around my waist, or if they fit me on the waist, they're too small around my hips and my thighs. But these are so easy breezy, and I can just make the drawstring a little tighter. They even match pretty well with my book bag. Life hack: if you don't have the money to spend on a beautiful, expensive book bag, because ideally we would all be supporting these beautiful small businesses that make these gorgeous book bags, but unfortunately I am not able to afford that right now. You can get like an iPad bag, which is generally a little cheaper, and it will fit a book. I am feeling like I'm getting a little fatigued from this challenge. The problem that I'm finding is that I don't think I'm necessarily spending less time on social media or like on Instagram. I think I am spending slightly less time on Instagram, but I'm also spending less time doing other things that I like. Like I'm spending less time on YouTube. I'm spending less time editing this video, which I would be editing by now. It's taking me much longer to get back to people who have messaged me. I haven't meal prepped in a really long time. I feel like I'm just falling quite behind on other things in my life. And I guess depending on how today and tomorrow go, I'm yet to decide whether I will include the weekend in this vlog. Like, is this gonna be a 5-day week? Is this gonna be a business week? Or is this gonna be like a full calendar week? I don't know, because I don't think I really have much going on the weekend. So yeah, stay tuned, because that's not something that I really like set in stone when I started this video. So I'm just sat here editing this video, and oh my god, I have talked so much in this video. This is going to be a very long one, and I am so sorry. Thank you so much for sticking around. It genuinely means so much, and I'm not just saying that because this is a long video. I also like really appreciate you watching. I'm a small little YouTuber and I love it so much, but and I make these videos because I enjoy making them, but it is lovely to know that someone is watching, so thanks. So it's now 4:10 and I've barely read today. I sat down in the waiting room this morning to read. I opened up my book, I got that little clip, and then they pretty much immediately called out my name and I went, oh. So I had to like really quickly pack up, and the appointment was done pretty quickly, which was great. And I've pretty much just been editing since then. It's been taking a really long time to edit because I just don't shut up. The ADHD is really strong in this video. I have a student in about an hour, but I'm gonna see if I can get a little bit of reading time in before then. What I'm thinking I might do, because I've been sitting down editing for a while and I think I just need to get up and at 'em, I think I'm gonna do a bit of like cleaning, a few little chores, but I'm gonna get my audiobook going again because that really worked for me. But I'm not gonna keep reading Archer's Voice in audiobook because one of the main reasons I wanted to do the reread was to read the annotations by Sheridan, and obviously I can't read those while listening to the audiobook. Like I have to physically be reading the book to read those. So I'm thinking we might take a little bit of a turn for some non-fiction. I'm thinking I might give the Let Them theory a little bit more of a shot. I got like halfway through reading this at the start of the year. I'm on page 168, but it's literally been months since I picked this up. And I do remember really enjoying it while I was reading it, but I really struggle to focus on non-fiction, but I love a podcast. So I feel like reading a non-fiction book as an audiobook is actually gonna work out really, really well for me. So I'm hoping that, I mean, surely this would have an audiobook, right? And I've decided I'm definitely just gonna be doing Monday to Friday for this video because it's gonna be way too long if I keep it longer than that. Never mind, it doesn't look like there's an audiobook on Spotify. It is on Audible, but unfortunately I don't have an Audible account. Ooh, maybe it's on Libby. Okay, no, it doesn't look like it's on Libby either. Damn. Well, never mind. I gave it a shot, but we're gonna put her away. Sorry, I feel like you can hear my laptop really struggling. I'm so sorry. That's what my laptop sounds like when I'm running Final Cut Pro. It just can't deal for some reason. The reason being that it's old and that it probably needs to be upgraded, but don't we all, you know? So my other thought is maybe I can listen to Quicksilver. This has been on my TBR for a really long time and it's so chunky. So I'm thinking maybe I can start the audiobook for this one, just so I can like find a way into the world, because big fantasy books like this, sometimes it can be a little tricky to like start with. And because I found that it was really helpful when reading Holiday Ever After to like start with the audiobook so you get a taste and then transition to the book. Maybe I could try that with this one because I've not done that with a fantasy before, but I have a feeling that I'll really like this book. It feels like the reviews have been pretty divided so far. There's been a lot of hype, but there's also like a lot of people saying they really didn't like it. I know that like this is considered old news by now, like it was super hyped up maybe last year, but I haven't read it and I'm excited. And I think the second book just came out, Brimstone. Is that this series or is that another one? I don't know, that might be another series. Ooh, I also just noticed there's a pronunciation guide at the start, which, hey, it might be a great thing if I start with the audiobook because then I'll hear them saying the words and I'll know how to pronounce them when I go to read it. Okay, let's strap in with this audiobook.
Baby, when I look in your eyes, I can see you.
We did it. Today is the last day. I don't know why, but this has been really challenging. I didn't read as much yesterday as I thought I would, or I was supposed to. I still have an hour left on my timer, which we're gonna bank over to today like we did earlier in the week. But I just got a really exciting notification on my phone. My matcha is ready to pick up. Should we go pick up some matcha, make a little matcha, do some reading together? I'm really excited about that. But before we do that, let's check in with how much reading we've got to do today. So we're going to transfer over the hour from yesterday. This time last week, my screen time was 5 hours and 15 minutes. I spent 2 hours and 44 minutes on social media. So when you add the hour from yesterday, I'll be reading for 3 hours and 44 minutes today. I don't think I read any of Archer's Voice yesterday. I don't think so. I don't know. If I did, I only read a little bit, but I was really enjoying the audiobook of Quicksilver. I actually think that I'm enjoying the audiobook as much as reading the book because I was listening to the audiobook for most of my reading time yesterday, and then just before I fell asleep I switched over to just the book so I could like wind down a little bit more. And I think with the way this book is written, it transfers really well into an audiobook. And the actors are great, and I love the way that it's all formatted in the audiobook. I think because the way it's kind of like narrated, it's very in a monologue anyway. There'll be like sentences where instead of like forming logical thoughts, a sentence will stop halfway and the like main character is like, oh no, this. And it's very like the way that a brain usually works, in that we don't always finish our thought. It just feels very natural, which I think, and that's not all the time, that sort of thing doesn't happen all the time, but that's just an example of the kind of writing style, and I think that's why it translates so well into audiobook, because I'm definitely enjoying the audiobook for Quicksilver more than I enjoyed the audiobook for Holiday Ever After. But yeah, I'm also just like really intrigued by the world and the magic, and oh, I'm on page 88, so like honestly with the size of this book I'm barely in there, but I am just loving it so far. I don't want to get too excited too quickly, but I think this is going to be a really, really good book. So my main thing is that I don't want to abandon Archer's voice because I found this new, exciting, shiny book. These are both great reads. Yeah, I don't know which one I'm going to go for more. First things first, let's get our matcha. Let's make ourselves a little drinky drink. Here it is. It's so cute. I just got the little like 30-gram packet so that I can test it, see if I like it. But it's so cute and tiny. And it came with this adorable little like postcard. I love small businesses. Adorable. And I also got this like matcha making kit. I went for the pink, of course. Now I actually have no idea how to make matcha, so I am going to be looking up a recipe. Look at how green that looks in there. Oh my gosh. Wow. And that's what it looks like after sifting. My scale isn't registering anything. Honestly, the taste of honey by itself I don't love, but I do think we need a little bit of some sort of sweetener. The moment of truth. Wow. I unfortunately don't have an aesthetic straw to drink out of, so we'll just give it a little swirl. You know what? It mostly tastes like milk. Maybe I needed more matcha. I'll figure out the balance eventually. We did it! I have not read this much in so long. I read 3.5 books. We started with Vanishing Cherry Blossom Bookshop, then I read Fearful, then we did Holiday Ever After. I'm now 282 pages into Archer's Voice, and I'm on page 92 of Quicksilver. I read some really beautiful books this week. I love this little pink stack that we started with. I mean, the other ones are cute too, but this is beautiful. Is this a thumbnail? This might be a thumbnail. So I thought what I would do is I would check how successful this week was by comparing my screen time last week to my screen time this week and see if it's gone down. I feel like surely it must have. Last Monday, I spent 5 hours and 49 minutes on social media. This week, I spent 53 minutes. That is so much better. Oh my God. Tuesday, last week, I spent 6 hours and 9 minutes on social media. This Tuesday, I spent 1 hour and 41 minutes on social media. Wednesday last week, I spent 3 hours and 53 minutes on social media. Wednesday this week, I spent 2 hours and 37 minutes. Okay, not as great. Definitely still better, so we'll take the win. Thursday last week, I spent 3 hours and 29 minutes on social media. Thursday this week, I spent 1 hour and 55 minutes. Friday, I'm unsure is going to be successful because I did finish my day with like at least an hour of doom scrolling. I'm a little nervous for this. Last week on Friday, I spent 2 hours and 44 minutes on social media. Damn. Yesterday, Friday, this week, I spent 3 hours and 22 minutes on social media. So it was a win every single day until the last day. On the whole, I spent so much less time on social media this week. I would call that a success. I think that is a marked improvement. And none of the books that I read this week were like flops either. They were all books that I really enjoyed. I'm really enjoying my Archer's Voice reread. I don't think I'm gonna rate it quite as highly as I did the first time. It's not hitting quite as hard as it did, but I do think it was a case of I just read the right book at the right time, and it is a great book, but I do think it just like hit really hard with the timing when I read it the first time. Quicksilver, I'm still like a tiny chunk through the book given how thick it is, but I'm really enjoying it so far, and I don't want to get too excited, but I feel like it could be a 5-star. I have a good feeling. I don't want to get too excited. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this week, listening to all of my yaps. I've done a lot of yapping in this video, so thanks for sticking around. As a teeny tiny little creator on here, I really appreciate you watching. Please feel free to give it a like or let the algorithm know that you like my content and that maybe other people will like my content as well, which means a lot for me. And let me know what you're reading right now in the comments down below. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye!